In the ancient city of Bethlehem, nestled among the hills of Judea, there lived a young girl named Miriam. She was known for her gentle spirit and kind heart, but she often felt overshadowed by the greatness of those around her. Her father was a respected carpenter, her mother a wise and caring woman, and her brother a scholar of the scriptures. Miriam loved her family deeply, but she struggled to see her own potential and often felt insignificant. One day, as Miriam tended to the garden, a group of travelers passed through her village, speaking of a great teacher named Jesus of Nazareth. They spoke of his miracles, his wisdom, and his message of hope and salvation. Miriam listened intently, her heart stirred by their words. She decided she must see this man who spoke of a kingdom where the last would be first, and the meek would inherit the earth. The next morning, Miriam set out early to find Jesus. She followed the crowds to a hillside where Jesus was teaching. As she approached, she saw him surrounded by people of all kinds: the sick, the poor, the curious, and the hopeful. Miriam found a place at the edge of the crowd and listened as Jesus spoke of the love of God and the value of every soul. During a moment of quiet, Jesus looked out over the crowd and his eyes met Miriam's. He called out to her, "Young woman, come forward." Trembling, Miriam stepped through the crowd until she stood before Jesus. Jesus looked at her with eyes full of kindness and understanding. "What is your name?" he asked. "Miriam," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "Miriam. Miriam," Jesus said gently, "you are destined for greatness. The greatness I speak of is not measured by the standards of this world, but by the love and faith in your heart. God has a unique purpose for you, one that only you can fulfill. Do not underestimate the power of your kindness, your compassion, and your faith. They are the seeds of greatness that will bear much fruit." Miriam felt tears welling up in her eyes. "But how can I be great, Lord? I am just an ordinary girl with no special talents or accomplishments." Jesus smiled and placed his hand on her shoulder. "In the kingdom of God, greatness is found in serving others, in loving without condition, and in having faith even when the way is unclear. Remember the mustard seed, which is the smallest of all seeds, yet when it grows, it becomes the largest of garden plants. Your faith and love are like that seed, and through them, you will achieve great things." Encouraged and inspired by Jesus' words, Miriam returned to her village with a renewed sense of purpose. She began to serve her community with even greater dedication, caring for the sick, comforting the lonely, and sharing the teachings of Jesus. Her kindness and faith touched many lives, and soon people began to see the greatness in her that Jesus had spoken of. Years later, as an older woman, Miriam would tell her story to the children of the village, teaching them that greatness lies within each of them, ready to blossom through acts of love and faith. She would say, "Jesus saw in me what I could not see in myself. He showed me that true greatness comes from serving others and living with a heart full of love. Remember, you are all destined for greatness in the eyes of God." And thus the story of Miriam and Jesus spread, inspiring generations to discover their own potential and to live lives of love, faith, and service, knowing that they too were destined for greatness in the kingdom of God.